Hello, and welcome back to the NoScore Review Show. I'm your host, Nick Green, and today I am joined by Shay Martin. Welcome back, Shay.
Thanks, Nick.
And Matt Schmidt. Matt, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
And today, we're just jumping right into it. We're reviewing John Wick Chapter 4, the latest entry in the John Wick franchise. This first little bit of the review will be spoiler-free, so you don't have to worry about any details being spoiled or anything. We're just going to talk about our general thoughts and maybe a little bit about our expectations going into the film. But before we do that, Jake Sturkenboom, show regular at this point, was eager to be on this review, but sadly couldn't make it. So we're going to throw to Jake for his very long-winded and very important. He had some pretty crazy things to say about the film. So I just wanted to make sure he was able to get those in before we get the episode started. So without further ado, we're going to throw to Jake Sturkenboom for his thoughts on John Wick Chapter 4.
Yeah, it was good.
Thank you very much, Jake. That was maybe a little long, but we'll workshop it in the future. Maybe don't say so many offensive words next time either.
Yeah, holy!
This is a
how
family
many
show.
Slurs can you fit into one review of John Wick? Oh my god!
I think you really need to start cutting Jake out of this show.
Yeah.
He's
show
gonna
regular
get
no more.
Canceled in no time after something like that.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
All right. Now that roadblock is out of the way, let's get into our general thoughts for the movie. Matt, do you want to kick things off?
Sure. General thoughts. It was generally pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Is all I really have to say. It kicked ass. They're awesome stunts.
Absolutely did.
Keanu Reeves delivering lines like an AI chatbot, as would be expected. And just some crazy over-the-top stuff, camera-wise and action-wise, and great music. As always, it's just they're really firing on all cylinders here.
Yeah, the score was fantastic in this one.
As to be expected from this franchise. And I think it delivered on what fans wanted, what I wanted. So I got no complaints, really.
What more to say?
Well, I have a couple, but no big ones. We'll get there later.
Shay, how about you? General thoughts, expectations?
Yeah, overall, super impressed. I do believe that this was the best out of the franchise. I mean, naturally, it had the biggest budget out of all of them. And I think we could all agree that this kind of genre needs a very high budget to kind of be pulled off. But yeah.
Not as high as I thought it was going to be. I feel like they're pretty economical with their budgets. Like as
How much was this one?
According to Wikipedia, 100 million.
Wow.
So
quite economical, yeah.
Yeah, like if you've seen the film, you are like maybe taken aback like I am, because some of the set pieces are like freaking crazy. So
even
they're
just to
really
do one take in one of the scenes.
Exactly.
I'm like, how much would it cost to just do one take of considering all these explosions, these walls that are getting destroyed, that they would have to reset.
Totally.
What was the John Wick 1 budget?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, do you know the other budgets offhand?
20 to 30 million.
For the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's very impressive for the first one, too.
That is.
Yeah, that is.
The same crews, I imagine, for the most part, other than maybe like the worldwide units and stuff, are very familiar with the franchise, I imagine, by this point. So
yeah,
I bet they've really gotten into a groove, hopefully anyway, by this point in the filmmaking process. Because like in the microscopic amount of experience I've had on sets, like stunt work is a taxing like process in the shooting in like principal photography. So like, and when it's a film like this, when it's like almost literally just stunts and set pieces like that, and not just on a green screen soundstage, like I can't even imagine the level of work and detail that goes into these films.
Really an important example of how the Academy Awards needs to recognize more categories such as stunt work or even just
100%.
stunt choreography. It's to be able to, as you were saying, Nick, just to go off of it, like to be able to pull this off, you almost need like, not that I believe in like top tier filmmaking, but to some extent, tech wise, you do.
Yeah, you have to be at the top of your game for this, otherwise it just doesn't work. And also, especially when you're talking stunts, like just from a safety standpoint, if you don't know what you're doing, then like some of this shit could go wrong very easily. Like some of the stuff with like the Rust set last year.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they clearly know what they're doing, and it's on full display in this one. I thought it was definitely the best, the biggest amount and the best quality of stunts so far in the series. I'll talk a little bit about my expectations. I was very okay with it being done at chapter 3. I know they like left it open and everything, but I was just kind of like a little bit cynical at the time of like, Hollywood really likes their money, don't they? Just leaving every franchise open ended like that. So I didn't really see where we were going to go with the next film that would be intriguing to me. And even as the like trailers and stuff came out, I wasn't like particularly enthused. I was like, I like Keanu Reeves enough, and I think the action they did in the first 3 films was fantastic. So that kind of is what warranted me going to see it in the theater. But then once reviews started coming out that it was like just as good, if not the best out of the franchise, then I was like, okay, all right, I'll give it a chance. And I was blown away. It was fantastic. I'm trying to find the trivia for Keanu Reeves, because there was an article or like a tweet or something that came out in the last couple weeks that he had like maybe like 400 words total in the entire script.
Oh my
Thanks. I
God.
believe it.
Yeah, like he does
That's
not
more than
talk
I
very
expected,
much.
honestly.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Looked beautiful, sounded great. Me and Matt got to see it in IMAX. I don't know, Shay, was it just regular show for you last night, or
I saw it in AVX, so I was quite
AVX? Okay,
happy with
nice.
it. Yeah.
nice.
Pretty close to what we would have seen then.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't shot for IMAX. It was just regular
Yeah,
aspect ratio.
in the
Just
credits
on a
it
big
said
screen.
optimized or something. Didn't it optimize for IMAX?
It's probably optimized for like the IMAX
Whatever that means.
experience with the sound and
Right.
whatever kind of setup they've got there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like they were shooting with the larger aspect ratio. Like
Totally. It
something
still
like
looked
Top Gun
fantastic in an IMAX theater, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like it
It
was
was a
just a
big
stunning
picture.
film. So
Oh,
you really
I was
felt the action as well.
I was very misled by. I was watching a review or an interview beforehand, and Keanu Reeves, I swear, said it was filmed in IMAX because he said it was designed, like the whole movie was designed to be in IMAX. But yeah, I'm looking at the tech specs right now. It was a very misleading comment to make. So yeah, I guess they just blew it up because yeah, the initial aspect ratio, yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
maybe he was like misinformed or something, or doesn't
Who
fully
knows?
understand what IMAX is. Who knows?
Could be.
I found it, and it's actually less than 400. It's 380 words in this film spoken
Wow.
by Keanu Reeves. Lowest
Wow.
word counts ever spoken by a main character. One of the lowest, sorry, by the main character in a movie. That's so
Especially
funny.
for a movie this length too.
Totally. It's almost 3 hours. Like crazy. But yeah. Shay, did you have any more general thoughts at all? I kind of cut you off earlier.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, no, my only expectation going into it was just to be mildly amused. I'll be brutally honest. The first 3 I had fun during, but they didn't necessarily impress me.
Mm-hmm.
But this one definitely did. I didn't, when you buy a ticket to John Wick, you're not buying a ticket for like any kind of storyline or
Sure.
anything. But
Yeah.
I was very happy with just the visuals of all of it. So
Totally.
yeah, the visuals were that good.
Yeah, I think it's not as approachable. Like me and Matt were kind of chatting about this last night after the film. It's not approachable in terms of like rewatchability necessarily. Like I feel like you'll probably only revisit this film if you're doing a John Wick marathon or something, because like otherwise you'll probably just look up the the stunt clips that you're like reminiscing about online and just watch an edit on YouTube. Especially at the 3-hour mark, it's going to be a lot, and piling that on top of the other 3 films already. So it's not like super approachable. I mean, it kind of can stand on its own, I guess.
I think this one stands on its own the most out of the other sequels, just because there's a bit of a time jump, I guess, between Parabellum and this one. And it feels like it's a little bit more of a contained story, whereas like the first also sort of stands on its own, but it directly leads into the second, and then that directly leads into the third, because they take place over like 7 days.
Right.
And it's all very like fluid, and the next movie starts off like right where the previous movie ends, and whatnot. But this one does feel like it sort of sits as its own like a little cherry at the top of
an epilogue, as you put it last night.
Yeah, like it feels almost like an epilogue.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's get into our highlights and lowlights. So this is your official spoiler warning for John Wick Chapter 4. If you don't want to know anything about the film going in, pause the video now, go see the film, and come on back once you've seen it. Or if you don't care about any spoilers, then stick around. Shay, let's start with your highlights and or lowlights.
Highlight specifically was that roundabout scene.
Hell yeah.
Fucking loved it. I loved Mr. Nobody as a character. I loved his dog. What was his dog's name? Did he have a name?
I don't think it had a name.
No, I don't think so. You could call him Nuts, I guess, because that was his main command.
Yeah, totally. One of my lowlights, or I actually had 2. I'm not a huge I'm not somebody to really ever criticize sound, but I found like the sound design to be kind of like almost like where, I don't know, maybe they budgeted a little bit more towards the cinematography or something, but I don't know. Sorry, Nick, you can cut out these pauses.
Okay. Do you want to throw to Matt?
Did you get high before this one again?
I did, yes.
That's why.
Yeah,
Matt, how about one of your highlights?
My highlights, I mean, it's got to be just in general the choreography. I think the hand-to-hand combat specifically in this one really is elevated. I think that's always where the John Wick series thrives, rather than like all the gunplay, because that can just get a little monotonous after time. Yeah. And this one, like all of the big scenes, aside from what I consider the big scene, which would be the dragon breath scene. Yeah, sure. All of the other big moments are hand to hand. And especially adding Donnie Yen into the mix, like that man is he is like the Flash in real life. Just the speed that he moves in his fights is incredible. Yeah. And I really hope that we get to see more of that in the series that comes after this. I want to see more hand-to-hand stuff. That's for sure. That's what I love the most about this series.
I mean, if they're able to somehow get like Donnie Yen and what's her name, Rina
Sawayama.
Yeah, if they make at least make an appearance in the series, because that's kind of what we got teased with at the end.
I feel like that's what they're leading up to.
Yeah. Then I feel like that's pretty much a guarantee to get at least a little bit of hand-to-hand from them anyway, given their like cultural background. But yeah, I really enjoyed the combat as well. It felt like I had a really good flow, whereas like maybe 2 and 3 were way more just like putting your gun up and like doing a lot more gun combat rather than hand-to-hand and weapon combat too, because like the axe fight scene in the club too was fantastic as well.
That was great. And the nunchuck scene.
Hell yeah. I thought the nunchucks that was
were
so
awesome.
good.
They were so good.
That was awesome. I just
apparently
really
he like specifically went out to learn how to use nunchucks for that movie.
That makes sense.
He like
The amount of
trained for months
training
on it.
that man did and does for like his work is just absolutely crazy.
Dedication.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It is.
totally.
He basically is John Wick in real
Yeah.
life because he
What he
can really do
lacks
all that
in
stuff.
what he lacks in like emotional range, he makes up for in stunts and like just overall badassery.
Mm-hmm.
I just really wanted to mention before I throw back to you, Shay, I just loved the set design and the locations they picked. It was all super captivating, and just the level of craft behind some of the sets, like the Dragon Breath set as well, was amazing to watch. The whole German club uh, scene and location was amazing. Like all of that water pouring down on top of them while they're
Yeah.
fighting, and like I mean, this isn't really set design, but like just the sheer amount of extras in that scene too was like mind boggling.
The wide shots when he first walks out of like the back room and walks out into the club, and then it jibs up and you see like the huge scope of all the people.
Yeah.
That was a huge holy shit moment.
Yeah, totally.
But then when you get a little bit closer into the club and he starts going in, the people around, I know I was talking to Shay about this a little bit earlier, and they agreed that a lot of the people dancing in the club are just sort of moving around doing nothing,
Right.
because they probably didn't have any actual music playing when they were filming those scenes. So everybody's sort of just offbeat and standing around and not really dancing. Although, I mean, if you're seeing people die and get the shit beat out of them in front of you, you might stop your electric slide for a minute and check out what's going on.
Well, and they might also be high on God knows what, so they're probably not operating.
I mean, they were in Berlin. Yeah.
It just felt like they didn't pay as much attention to like what the extras should be doing in some of the scenes, and they were very focused on just the choreography of the stunt performers, which I guess like that's what most people are going to be looking at. But still, you can't help but when you've got this huge, beautiful image in front of you, you want to like scan around and see stuff, and that kind of stuff pops out and can take you out of it a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Definitely.
Shay, do you want to jump back into your lowlights, and we can kind of segue into all of our lowlights?
Did you find your words?
Let's see. I feel like this is like very predictable for me to say, but I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get more of Akira. It was kind of, I found refreshing to, like, John Wick has women in it, but I think we could all agree that it's just like not a comparable amount of screen time, and to have her come in, I know for like the three of us, was really refreshing to see, and we got like really hooked, and we were even whispering to each other in the theater like, I fucking love her. I unfortunately though did not stick around for the post-credit scene, but Jake told me about it. So to clarify, is it hinted that Akira gets we're going to see her again?
Yeah.
Well, from what it seems, she's going to try to kill Donnie Yen's character because he killed her father. Yeah, although she just like sort of pulls a knife and then walks towards him in a crowd and then cuts to black.
Yeah.
So presumably she won't kill him, and he'll probably stop her and get away. But that's setting up what the conflict for the next one will probably be, depending on whether or not John Wick is actually dead, because
we never saw him die.
We'll see about that. I again, like, I mean, even more so now that it has more of a wrap up to it at the very end of this film with John Wick dying. I think he's dead personally, but I think that might just be more so I hope he's dead, because I'm fine with this ending here. I think it wrapped it up much better than 3, for sure. Not that 3 was trying to wrap it up, but yeah, I'm just very satisfied with this coming to this conclusion. And like if we get a series, that's fine. That'll be its own thing, more or less. But yeah, I'm okay with it kind of stopping here, and we move on to new and brighter things. More bring the like technical stuff, like bring that amazing practical stunt work and like all of the fantastic set pieces and stuff. Bring that to more films, because in the age of like CG and like volume and all these digital like filmmaking techniques that are taking priority because it's easier, I think John Wick, the entire series, has demonstrated how effective these practical like stunt men and women and like uh, just teams of people can, what they can do and accomplish to make some really fucking cool sequences in film. Um, but yeah, I'm okay with John Wick ending here personally. What else? I think we can kind of transition into creator goal. I think they knocked it out of the park. Chad Stileski, I think, is the director, right? He clearly knows what he's doing with the material in this film. Him and Keanu Reeves are a great duo. He's I'm interested to see what he'll do moving forward if John Wick is actually laid to rest finally. I'm definitely interested to see what he does in the future after John Wick, because he's clearly proven himself with like big bombastic action movies. So,
Well, didn't he used to be a stunt coordinator? I think that's
yeah, I
what he
think
did
so,
before
which
he was
makes total
directing.
sense.
Yeah, like the whole John Wick idea was conceptualized just by stuntmen.
Yeah,
So it makes a
exactly.
lot of sense that that's the focus of the
Oh,
thing.
fun fact. Yeah, he was actually the stuntman for Neo in The Matrix Reloaded.
Oh, that's cool.
Whoa, that's really cool.
That shows the Keanu connection.
Yeah, totally.
Makes sense.
Wonder if that's how they met.
Probably.
Yeah, I think they absolutely knocked it out of the park. They did what they needed to in the story and character department. Like nothing really stands out for me personally. Um, like I did enjoy Akira, like you, Shay. I really liked her and her father, Shimazu. Um, and I look forward to seeing her in the series if we get more of her in that. I know Matt, you weren't a big fan of Rena.
I wouldn't say that I wasn't a fan. It's just I'm really familiar with her through her music.
Right.
And I found it hard to separate her as an artist from the character.
Gotcha.
And I just kept thinking like, oh, that's Rena.
Right.
And
it's like seeing Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it just
a little bit.
It pulled me out of it a little bit. I think given more time, because I think it might also be her like debut acting role. I don't know if she's done anything else. I think if she's able to like really get some more meat, because like there wasn't much of a character there for her to work with in this one.
Pretty
the amount of
like
time that she was
standard
on screen.
revenge arc type thing, right?
Yeah, like she was in there for the first like, I don't know, 35 minutes or so, and then disappeared, and we didn't really get to resolve her story. So it was just a lot of like setup and then okay, bye. Whereas I would have liked to see her more throughout. I thought she was going to be like sticking with John through the movie, and she didn't.
Yeah,
but I also did feel just the comparison, and it might be a little unfair to make this comparison, but I noticed in the fight sequences during the opening Osaka montage, her scenes were a lot slower paced compared to the other fights, and a lot of that is just probably because she is less experienced. I know she did a lot of training for this movie, but like you have Donnie Yen and Keanu Reeves that have been doing this stuff for like decades now at this point, and it just felt more choreographed, I think, in some of her scenes, because you could tell that they were a little, they were trying to work in the moves, and it just it didn't flow as fast and effortless as the other stuff.
Felt a little disjointed, maybe.
Just by comparison of like cutting between those scenes, it made me feel that a little bit more. But that's not to take away from what was actually happening, because
Yeah.
she pulled off some awesome stuff. Like that scene when she was jumping on the big guy and like stabbing him as he was going up the
that was
stairs.
so good.
That was
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I would love to see more of that kind of stuff, more bow action as well.
yeah.
I want to see more
Mhm.
bows.
Yeah, if nothing else, it was a fantastic foundation that was laid with Chapter 4, and then hopefully that launches like more roles for her and that type of thing. Not to like typecast her or anything, but like if she wants to pursue that more, then I think it was a good start at the very least.
I think she has a great action like career ahead of her if she
Mhm.
chooses to do so. Because I definitely do agree with you, Matt. Her scenes were a lot more choreographed and didn't flow as naturally. But all things like considered, I was still pretty impressed
Totally.
Yep.
overall. And I did not know that this was her first acting credit. I also didn't
I mean,
know
I
she
can't
was the
confirm
singer.
that. I think that it is.
One of her first, maybe. Let's see.
She
what do you
also,
say
yeah,
on
she
IMDb?
did the end credits song as well.
Oh.
According to IMDb, it looks like it's only been music videos before Chapter 4. So
Yeah, makes sense.
There you go.
yeah, there you go. I also thought she did there wasn't really much emotional landscape in this film for anybody, but I think she did a pretty solid job with the material she was given for the like minute scenes she had with Hiroyuki.
Yep.
So she can definitely portray that range, which is good to see. But yeah, Donnie Yen, like you said, Matt, was fantastic. He
Kicked
probably
fucking
stole the
ass.
show.
I think he did.
I really liked seeing Clancy Brown. His small character was also very good. He fit right in with the what is the actual like organization called? Because the Continental is the hotel, but like is there a
I don't think there is like an
is it like the guild
organization.
or something?
Well, they're just under the table, aren't
Okay,
they? They're
under
just
the high
service.
table,
They serve the table in a degree. I don't know.
right?
I think the Continental itself is the organization.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, they knocked it out of the park with this fourth installment. Would you say? I mean, we kind of touched on it already with IMAX and stuff, but Matt, did you feel it was worth seeing in IMAX? Like, would you recommend someone go see it in IMAX specifically?
I think probably going either IMAX or AVX. I don't know how much difference you'll really get out of this, because it's not like IMAX is providing you any extra pixels
Right.
when you view it. And I don't know how the quality of IMAX theaters are around the world, but ours are kind of cramped and shitty and
Yeah.
old and
Mhm.
very uncomfortable. So
Right.
if you can go to a newer AVX theater, it would probably be a better experience
Or
overall.
VIP with the
Or
lounge seats.
VIP's okay. I think the screen's a little too small. The sound might not be as
Okay.
robust for an action movie of this scale. I
Sure.
think VIP works better for like dramas or comedies and stuff like that, when you want to just sit down and have like a relaxed sort of viewing. Whereas the AVX really has that upgraded sound, and you'll feel like the bass in the ground in the seats where you're sitting.
Yeah.
Which I think is
Yeah.
a nice touch for something bombastic like John Wick.
Totally.
AVX is definitely my favorite like format, or however you would call it, to be able to go see. Like, I totally agree. IMAX can be great, but yeah, all of our places are incredibly run down. And at the end of the day, I don't know what the actual size difference is, but I was thinking about it last night when I was in the theater. I'm like, I always forget how big AVX is until I'm in
AVX
it.
is big.
Yeah. And it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then you
All
get
right.
the vibrations of the D boxes if you're sitting near.
Yeah.
That's true.
There you go.
I think this would be a good one to see in D box. Honestly.
You think so?
Any, like,
you want a
huge...
random
I don't
stranger to come into
know.
the theater and kick the shit out of you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sorry, that's 4DX, not D-Box.
I was sitting
Huge.
directly behind D-Box, and I almost felt bad for the people in front of me because it was just constant like thumping for 3 hours, and like yeah,
Oh god.
not
Back
the
when
best
Just
in
get
my
jostled a
opinion.
lot.
Back when D-Box like was first coming out, I think it was I think it was around the time of the first Suicide Squad film. And when I went and saw that film in theaters, like the whole theater was shaking from the D-box seats, just like rumbling around. It was absolutely insane. I could not focus on the film. Not that I really needed to, because it wasn't great.
Yeah,
But
what's there to focus on?
exactly. All right. One pro and one con from all of us. Matt, do you want to give
Sure.
us your pro and con?
I'll say pro, the fucking dragon breath scene.
Hell yeah.
That, I think, on a technical level, is probably the most complex thing that they had to pull off, just because of the amount of choreography that they needed to get right, the amount of like pyrotechnics involved and blowing apart walls in the set and having it all
Lighting
done in
people on
one
fire.
take, lighting people on fire. There was one time I noticed where one of the rounds got stuck on a wall. Like he was behind the pillar and he went to shoot and it basically exploded on the wall in front of him and didn't hit the guy. So I don't think that was planned. So that might have been like the one little slip up on an otherwise perfect take. But man, like my mouth was wide open, like jaw on the floor, leaning forward and just like, I can't believe what I was watching at that part.
I had the biggest shit-eating grin on my face when that scene was happening.
I was like, oh, here we go. When he picked up that shotgun, because we sort of had that spoiled for us through Jake and then me to Nick as well.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really care that much. Yeah.
But it was just something that I knew was going to happen and I was looking forward to the whole time. And thankfully it happened near the end. So it was still building up all that time. And when it happened, it did not disappoint at all.
Yeah.
And I'd say...
go ahead. There's so many action scenes to pick from, man. Like
I know.
There's just too many.
There is.
I feel like our pros, each of us are probably just going to be whatever favorite fight scene was. What was your con, Matt?
I'll say my con with this one, I think, would be the pacing.
Yeah.
I liked how some of the previous movies handled it by spacing out their action scenes a little bit more and having smaller chunks of dialogue and exposition in between. Whereas with this one, like it started off with, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes of dialogue and setup, and then we get like a 40-minute action scene, and then we get another 20 minutes of dialogue, and then another 20-minute action scene. And I would have liked them to spread them out a little bit more, I think, rather than just bombarding you with stuff, because I think after a while of just being pummeled by this violence, you sort of get numb to it, and your eyes might start to glaze over because you're like, okay, here's guy number 45 running at John Wick. Oh, he got knocked down. Oh, there's guy number 46. Oh, he's dead. Oh, 47. And just, it doesn't have the same punch as when there's silence and then something happens. When you're just always being hit over the head with it, it can, it just loses the impact a little bit. And then it makes the dialogue like, it's drag on a little bit where you're like, okay, it's been 15 minutes now and nobody's died. Man. What's going on?
I think while I feel that they still really excelled with all of the action scenes, like they didn't really sacrifice quality for quantity. I still think like what could have elevated this film like from great to like masterpiece or whatever, or even like amazing, is just that maybe they could have been a little bit more economical with their like the pacing of their action scenes, like the whole Osaka battle basically could have been like consolidated a little bit more. Maybe
I thought that one was a little too long.
Yeah, because you have like the big like battalions facing off against each other of men, and then you have the Kane and what's his name, Shimazu like Ronin fight in the garden, and then you have John Wick doing his thing in the like art gallery area, and then Kane visits him. I think that actually might happen before, but like you just have a lot of stuff, and then you have Akira as well,
and you got Killa, and then you got all the regular dudes. And I get that they wanted to like showcase everyone and show their fighting style, but it was just so much juggling happening that, again, it just sort of caused a little bit of overload, I think.
Sure. It like in the art gallery moment with John, I kind of like had an out of body experience a little bit where I like noticed mid him fighting. It's like, wow, no one said a word in like 10 or 15 minutes. It's literally just been gunfire for the last little bit. All right, Shay, how about you? What was your pro and con?
I would have loved to have said the same pro as Matt. That scene was the fire breath. Is that how you say
Dragon breath?
Dragon breath.
Dragon breath.
What did I say? Fire breath.
Shotgun. Fire. I mean, basically the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. But very, very close second was that roundabout scene. I find it so hilarious when people get hit by vehicles in these.
We just learned something new about Shay today.
Yeah.
I don't know, just like the thunk it makes and like how much they fly and then they pop right back up.
If you get run down in a crosswalk, Shay is not coming to help you because they are going to be like rolling on the ground too, just from the amount of laughter.
Their Instagram Reels feed is just people getting hit by cars.
Their TikTok algorithm is
over and over and over again.
Like physical comedy, people getting run over.
I'm feeling very called out right now. You're not far from the truth there. But yeah, that was by far my favorite. I also loved that his car door got ripped off because I love the side profile look where you could just see his whole wardrobe and like it's just a cool look to drive a speed car without like a door. Totally. And him being able to do like the donuts and grab the gun off of like the street and like all of that was, I think, that was great. Con. Again, very similar to Matt, but I think the overall length could have also been trimmed down. Like, I definitely agree with the pacing. I don't mind like long scenes, but by the time we got to like the climax, I was like ready for it to be done. Like I was almost getting annoyed when they were doing the draws that nobody was dying.
Yeah, I mean, I think that also could have just worked better had the rest of the movie been shorter too, right? Like you even could have trimmed a couple characters too.
Or even just like have the fight scenes be like a few minutes shorter each. Because there's like so many people dying all the time. Like you could get rid of a couple and nobody would know.
Exactly.
Like there was a couple, like you could say half a dozen of the kills were like, oh, that was mid.
Yeah.
You could have got rid of that one and just kept the cool
like
ones.
the staircase scene at the very end. Like we literally get John Wick fighting up the entire staircase, him falling all the way back down, and then him and Donnie Yen fighting all the way back up the staircase again. Like
I felt like it was almost making fun of itself when it did that.
A little bit, yeah.
Definitely. The fucking comical falling all the way down. Not once, but falling down twice because they kick him the second time. Yeah. I was like, oh my God.
They definitely play with that humor a couple times because even that like long tracking shot of that guy walking into his very huge office and it's just the clinking of his feet that just lasted like a minute too long.
Yeah.
I
wonder if that is maybe just like them securing like these really fucking good locations for shooting and just being like, we got the whole day in this art gallery, guys. Let's just shoot as much as we can. I would have to agree with you, Shay. The roundabout scene was probably my favorite fight out of everything. I just absolutely loved when he was drifting around those like two cars that were scrunched together and that like group of guys, and he was just drifting, shooting at them like for like I don't know, 3 minutes straight or something. I'll pick a different fight though for my pro. I really loved the club in Berlin. That whole sequence was fantastic. I loved the tension build up in the card game scene.
Yeah, the card game was good.
I thought that was a really good setup for the rest of that whole sequence. I loved the axe fighting. I loved the just all the water pouring down, all of the dancers doing their own thing while John Wick's like tracking down the big mob boss dude. Yeah, it was all good. That part where he falls off the staircase and cracks his head open, the whole audience just went like, ooh.
Everybody went, ooh. That was, I think, probably the biggest one of the whole thing.
Well, and then that and the hand thing with the tracker.
Oh yeah,
pulling
that
his
was bad.
hand out of the knife. That was really bad.
Yeah.
Very effective though.
Yeah, and it looked good. I mean, the
really good.
gore looked good, and they showed it all.
Mm-hmm. My con is gonna be a kind of cheaty a little bit. I'm just gonna kind of relay what I said in my Letterboxd review, and I wish that this was a trilogy. I love my trilogies. I wish this could have just been a nice like bundle up 3-film series, because like after that you get into some weird territory of like, okay, are you going to end it at 4 or are you going to leave it open for 5? And then are you going to do a 5th film? Because if you're going to do a 5th film, you have to do a 6th, because then 6 is a perfect like saga, right? Like, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe that's just me in my head trying to rationalize things, but yeah. It's
I get it. 3 would be stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I also want to add one more con in, actually, before we go.
Yeah.
I wasn't really a big fan of Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah, I wasn't. This was probably one of his weaker performances, I feel. Like, he's usually a great menacing guy, right? Like, although I don't know how much Pennywise you could put into a John Wick film and have it work. You know?
Maybe John Wick has to fight through the 7 circles of hell to get back up.
Dude, that was reborn. Exactly what I was thinking at the end of the film last night. I'm like, oh, he should just like become the Doomslayer or something and fight his way out of hell.
You know? I'd watch that. He's gonna go kill Satan now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really, his accent, I can't tell if it was good or not.
Mm-hmm.
I could just very tell that you're not French.
Yeah.
Like, why not just get a French actor? Like, why did you need to get Bill Skarsgård for this? It feels like an odd choice, because he also doesn't look French. He looks very Scandinavian, you know?
Just have a Scandinavian villain. It's a worldly movie.
Just have him be from Sweden. Yeah. What's the difference?
Give the Swedes some villainous people. Like, they're usually portrayed as like nice people. So like you could tip the scales a little bit, you know, give them some baddies, some bad eggs.
Exactly.
Why not?
I think the John Wick series just sort of, it has, as movies have gone on, has suffered from bad villain syndrome. Mm-hmm. I think the conflict in the first one, great. Narratively, the first John Wick, I think, is rock solid. Unreal motivations for every character involved, and you really feel like the drive to kill Theon Greyjoy and his dad.
Yeah.
And then in the second one, I liked I forget his name.
Oh yeah, that guy. I don't know.
Antonio.
Yes.
His name's Antonio. I liked him. Third one, the adjudicator, did not like her.
I don't even remember the adjudicator.
She's the one that comes in and she like condemns the hotel. She's the one that's in like the all black and everything.
Was that Ruby Rose's character?
No, she was in the second one.
Oh, okay.
This was another relatively known actor. Can't think of her name, but she's been in other stuff. You can look it up yourself at home. She was just very meh and bland. And then Bill was like removed from the movie the whole time. He was basically a MacGuffin of this. It's just like, you need to kill this guy and you're free, and that's it. And the actual antagonist was Donnie Yen for most of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's something to be said too for this film, is like a lot of the stakes weren't there because we already kind of had the whole world's after John Wick basically, so it was very much just him like dealing with that and then trying to find a way out while doing so.
Well, he even made a point of it up at the church at the end. Like, there's 3 kinds of people. There's people that have something worth dying for, something worth living for, and something worth killing for. And John Wick has none of those things.
Right.
So they're kind of bringing attention to it. Like, okay, there's like not much more that we can get out of this.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they retire the character after this. But as tends to be the case with these kind of movies, if you don't see the body being put in the ground, you have to always be skeptical. Because, like, sure, we see him fall over on the steps, but we just watch Scream, where like 8 people get mortally wounded and
several
are running
times
around
over
15 minutes later.
Yeah.
So you can never be too sure.
Yeah. If they're running around, there's like, as sure as shit, John Wick is going to live.
Yeah.
Yeah. I, fingers crossed. I hope it ends here, but only time will tell. I still would recommend this film. I feel like I get the impression you two would as well.
Oh yeah.
Strong recommend. It's a good time in the theater. And it's one of the strongest releases so far this year. I think it's probably, if it wasn't for the 3-hour runtime, then it'd probably be top of my list. But just like from an approachable standpoint, or approachability standpoint, it's, I mean, like top 3. So, like if you've already seen Scream 6, Creed 3, go see
the next sequel in rotation.
Right? Yeah. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of the NoScore Review Show. Matt and Shay, thank you so much for joining me once again. Matt, where can the people find you?
The people can find me on Letterboxd at Wisdom Nugget if you search it up. And you can find a link to my other socials in my bio if you're so inclined.
Perfect. And do you have any recommendations at all?
I'm going to go with a little bit of a different recommendation this week. One of my favorite bands just released a new album recently, Black Country New Road.
Okay.
They had their lead vocalist and principal songwriter quit the band just before their previous record went out, which was fantastic, due to mental health reasons. And it was a big question of how the band was going to move forward without basically their frontman.
Yeah.
And a lot of questions were in the air of would they be able to bring up something with equal quality. And then just a few weeks ago, they put out somewhat of a surprise live performance on their YouTube channel of entirely new material.
Wow.
And
that's impressive.
It was fucking phenomenal. It was a phenomenal performance. Great new songs. 3 of the other band members shared the writing and vocal roles. So you get to hear a lot of different sounds from the different performers. Awesome. And then they just released it on Friday on streaming, the actual live version. So you get like the full front to back experience. And it's pretty good. You get a little bit of everything in this one. And I'm very excited.
So is there like a non-live version of the album as well? Or is
not
it only
yet.
Live?
They might put out studio versions of these songs in the future. I don't know. I see this more of a sort of like testing the waters of
makes sense.
Just them coming into their own as songwriters and vocalists and sort of seeing what the fans gravitate towards out of this sort of basket of different things, and then moving forward. And maybe they'll do studio versions of these on some albums in the future, but I think it stands well enough on its own. It's almost studio quality what they do here, and would definitely recommend giving it a listen, giving it a watch. It is a good damn set of songs.
Black Country New Road?
Black Country New Road.
Say that 5 times fast. Very cool. I'll have to check it out. Shay, where can the people find you?
The people can also find me on Letterboxd at Shay Martin and Instagram Shay Martin Media. And my recommendation, I'm gonna self-advertise.
You could just plug this and then have another recommendation too if you want.
That's true.
You can absolutely just plug this. Yeah, double up. If you got it.
Yeah, no, When Time Got Louder releases this weekend, Friday playing at Fifth Avenue Cinemas, as well as Sunday, and then Scotiabank Theatre in Toronto is also playing it this weekend.
Very cool.
It's a feature that I worked on that I'm very, very proud of. A friend of mine wrote it, directed it, produced it, and it covers autism, it covers sexuality, it covers a lot of really important themes. So yeah, When Time Got Louder.
Very cool. Very happy for you, Shay. That's exciting stuff.
Thank you.
Do you have any other recommendations, or do you just want to use that as your recommendation?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Just that?
Just
Okay.
that.
What about you, Nick? Where
Well,
can the people find you?
you can find me wherever you're listening to or watching this episode of the NoScore Review Show on youtube.com/NoScore or on your favorite podcast listening services. I last did, oh God, it actually has been a while since the last review. I think the last thing was Shazam 2, Shazam Fury of the Gods. If you want to go hear about how me and Jake did not like that film, then you can go check that out. It's a shorter review. It's only about like half an hour, I think. I think it actually holds the record now, the current record for the shortest review on the channel.
How many words can you really say about
Yeah,
Shazam,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly. I also did a review on Scream 6. Matt was on that episode as well. Yeah, March is almost over, finally. Only a couple days left. I'll have a Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves review coming out, hopefully, in the next few days. My guest list for that one is a bit up in the air right now, so we'll see if that actually happens. So at the very least, go stay tuned to my Letterboxd for my review on that, because I know I will for sure be seeing it myself.
I can't believe how good reviews that
I know, it's
has
so
been getting.
crazy.
I
I
think
was
everybody
so
expected it to
worried about
bomb.
that film. Yeah.
Really?
But I'm
Okay.
looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got what, like 90%?
No.
That's
Tomatoes or
wild.
something? Wow.
Absolutely
I thought
wild.
it was going to be certified rotten for sure.
Yeah,
But
totally.
no.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be coming out soon. Stay tuned to Letterboxd and potentially the YouTube channel for that. If you're into video game Let's Play content, I've got my channel NoScore Plays, where I am now currently uploading Resident Evil 4 Remake. The time has finally come. So if you're into video game Let's Play content, and specifically horror game Let's Play content, it's like action horror, but there are some spooky things in there. You could go check that out. I'm also going to be doing a ton more indie games in the future on that channel as well. So that's kind of what you can expect there. Otherwise, you can go follow me on all the socials as well, on Letterboxd, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at NoScore or at NoScore Reviews. And also let me know what you thought of John Wick Chapter 4. You can tweet at me, or you can just comment below on YouTube. I'd love to know your thoughts and how you felt about it. I'd love to generate a healthy, positive discussion on the internet and be part of the conversation.
When has that ever happened on the internet?
Hey, put out what you want to receive, right? Positive vibes. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching and listening. Matt, Shay, once more, thank you for joining me.
It's been a pleasure, as
and
always.
We will see you all in the next review. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nick.
Hasta luego.